Preparing children for a healthcare experience help them to understand what is going to happen so that they can cope better with the situation. But how do you do that? It is important to remember that we should always prepare a child for everything that is going to happen, whether it is taking a blood pressure reading, temperature, or something more painful such as an injection or a drip. So where do we start? First of all, clarify any misconceptions that the child may have. It actually happened that a child thought that she was going to die from an injection, as that was what happened when a dog had been put down by the vet a few weeks earlier. Or children can have other fears that seem to be irrational to us as adults, but that can result in a very traumatic healthcare experience. So it is so important to talk to the child and ask what she thinks is going to happen. Secondly, explain the reason for the procedure or hospitalization and make sure that you use a language that the child can understand. For instance, you can say that the germs are building houses in the lungs and that your child needs some extra strong medication to give the good soldiers in the body super weapons to fight against the germs. Next, explain the sequence of events. For instance, you can say that the child will go on a bed with wheels to the theatre where they will see very big and bright lights. There's also a dream machine that will give them nice dreams to dream. When they're done dreaming, they will go back to the bed in the ward where they will get something to eat, and afterwards they can go home to play with their friends. Always prepare children in relation to their senses. Explain what the child is going to see, and if possible, get photos of the actual hospital or theatre so that the child can see what it really looks like. What is the child going to feel? Maybe the stethoscope will be cold. You can also let the child play with some of the equipment if it is safe for the child to do so. You won't always be able to let the child smell something before the time, but you can, for instance, explain that the anesthesia mask is going to smell like something the child has never smelled before. Ask the child to tell you afterwards how he or she experienced the smell. The same goes for taste. Don't tell the child that the medication will taste awful. Rather give the child the chance to give his or her own interpretation of the taste. If there's a specific sound that the child will experience, such as the sound of the MRI scanner, try to find a recording of the sound on the internet so that you can play it to the child before the time. Also explain to the child what is expected of him or her. You can say that the child has a very important job, and that is to keep his or her arm very still during an injection. You can further explain that the child can play a card game, handheld game, or read a book. Whatever it is, it's important that you give the child some choices. It is also very important to check the words that you use throughout the preparation. Instead of using the word cut, you can say the doctor is going to make a small opening. Don't refer to the needle of a drip, but explain to the child that it is only going to be a small soft tube that's going to stay in his or her arm. The word knife might also create scary images for the child, so rather say that the doctor is going to take out her tonsils with a spoon. And lastly, explain the long-term outcome to the child. For instance, you can say to the child that he will have to wear a cast and walk with crutches, but he can still play with his friends. He might not be able to kick a soccer ball around, as he might have to play indoors for a while, but then you can assist the child to think of something interesting to play indoors if needed.